Today I'm going to be making a pack and helmet holder, and I'm going to be doing this with some old used bike grips that I had laying around. I was just about to toss these out, and I thought, hey, I could make a pretty cool holder with these old lock-on grips. This whole thing should probably take about an hour or so, and it really doesn't cost much, and it looks pretty cool in the shop. So starting with a cedar fence board, this is just a plain fence board. They have little dog ears on the ends. I cut dog ears on both ends of these, or the ones to match the factory ends. And this board's about, roughly 2 feet long. And then I'm just using some of these pipe flanges, and that's what's going to hold the grips on. The only thing to really mention here is that you want to keep the spacing far enough apart in such that the helmet doesn't hit the other handle when the helmet's hanging on it. You could of course make a taller one if you had more than one pack, but just keep in mind the spacing so that the helmets, when they hang, or the packs when they hang, they don't hit the handle below it. So I'm just evenly spacing these out and marking the holes, and I'm marking center holes plus screw holes here, and you'll see why in just a moment. So I'm using an 1/8 inch drill bit, and I'm just drilling all 5 holes. You notice there's 5 on each end. So 4 of these are going to be to hold the floor flange onto the board, and then the last one is going to be actually mount it to the wall, which is going to be completely hidden. So these are the 1/2 inch floor flanges. One thing to note, I went ahead and sanded and oiled the board as well, just to give it a nicer appearance. Anyway, using some number 12 5/8 inch screws, you can fasten the floor flange to the board. And when you do so, they won't stick through the back. That's why I'm using the 5/8, and they look pretty good. You can see the center hole left there that we're going to use to mount it to the wall. Okay, now that you have both flanges mounted to the board, you're going to grab your sprinkler riser pipe. Now you're going to use 1/2 inch size because it threads in. I grabbed an 18 inch because I wanted to make sure I had enough to do both grips. I probably could have got away with a 12 inch. So snug that in nice and snug into the floor flange, and then you're going to take one of your grips, remove the end cap off the grip, and then go ahead and slide the grip down over the piece of riser. And what we're going to do is mark where the end of the grip comes to once it's slid all the way down. So put a mark with a pencil or marker or whatever, and then you're going to go and place a second mark just below that, maybe like 1/8 of an inch at the most. It just needs to be slightly shorter than the grip, but not much shorter. So about 1/8 inch below. And we're going to cut at that second line. So I'm using a tubing cutter to do the cutting. You could use a hacksaw, it really doesn't matter, but just cut it straight at that second mark that you did. Again, just shorter than the grip itself. Now, once you've made the cut, you can take the grip and slide it back on with the end cap, but you're going to notice that it's loose and it wiggles. Even if we go ahead and tighten up the clamps on the grip itself, it's still not going to stay on this piece of PVC. And the reason is that 1/2 inch sprinkler PVC is slightly narrower than a actual handlebar. So we've got to make them a little bigger diameter at the top and bottom so that these 2 clamps can lock on. And we're going to do that with Gorilla Tape. You could probably use regular duct tape if that's all you had, but Gorilla Tape seems to be the right thickness. So I tear off like a little 1/2 inch wide strip of Gorilla Tape and I wrap it around, and then I'm cutting it so that the Gorilla Tape doesn't overlap itself. I want both edges of the Gorilla Tape to sit flush on the piece of PVC. So I put one top and one bottom and then slide it on down. And now when I tighten the clamps, they hold on really well. The Gorilla Tape gives it just enough diameter to make the grip stick on really well. And so now I can go ahead and just use my hand and unscrew the grip itself. And now I've got a grip with some threads sticking out. And I basically want to repeat this whole process for the one on the other end. And so you're going to end up with the other end done exactly like we just did the first. and then we can go ahead and get this mounted up. So here's both of them finished, and now we can take this out to the wall and mount this thing to the wall and put the grips back on. All right, make sure you have a nice open area where you're going to mount this on your wall. I happen to have a stud that's in a really good location for where I wanted to mount this. So I'm going to screw it straight into a stud, but if you had decent drywall anchors, that should work totally fine because it's not that much weight. So I screw in the first one, the top one, and then I'm just using a level to make sure it is level on the wall. And then I'm just using cabinet screws underneath them for my application. So I'm screwing in like 2-inch cabinet screws into the stud. And once it's on, you can just now screw those grips back into place. Now you notice my logo is not oriented correctly, so that's easy to fix by just loosening the Allen and making sure those are nice and straight. And once you're done, voila, you have a pack holder and a nice place to hang your helmet, and they're both up off the ground, and it looks pretty cool. So thanks for watching. Have a great day.